We have a big 12-game slate in NBA DFS on this Wednesday evening. With that, I'm going to be going into all the things you need to know this morning for this NBA DFS slate. If you guys enjoy the coverage, make sure to give a like and subscribe. Starting at the guards, I do think we should just start out with the Golden State Warriors situation. So the Golden State Warriors are obviously going to be without Curry. They're still without Wiggins. And then also you have Jonathan Kuminga. And you could also toss in, let's just say, Wiseman as well. There's going to be a lot of value opened up there for the Golden State Warriors, but I think we know kind of who to be targeting. It's going to be a little bit of Jordan Poole. Now, I do worry about Jordan Poole. We have seen him be very productive the last two games. That's huge for him, but on average is not someone that is dominating. He only gets 38 fantasy points per 36 with all those players off the court. The usage rate is very high at 37% though, so it's not shocking to see him have good games when he has good night shootings. I mean, 23 shot attempts, 31 shot attempts, 22 shot attempts, like you would take that. Okay, so if he's hot shooting the basketball, sure, okay, but it is more risky, especially on this big slate where it kind of feels like we'd be forcing it. Now, on the other hand, you got Clay, who I don't think Clay's been priced up enough. Clay is someone that has a huge usage rate at 30% with those guys off the court, and his fantasy point total per 36 is 44, okay? So we have seen him be highly productive lately, especially with the increase in minutes. So, I do think we can get 40 DK points out of him at this price tag, and that's a very cheap price tag for him for around 40 DK points. We'll say Dante DiVincenzo, still a decent play. Like, I do think we're going to get 30 out of him, but not someone I'm particularly going out of my way to play. And like, I feel like he's due for a better night shooting as well. I think his prize picks was like set at 10.5 points. So I do think he'll be able to get the over on that. Just FYI there. Some more situations guard-wise. Shai is most likely going to be out in this one. He had a non-COVID illness, which, that kind of tells me back end of a back-to-back. Could he play? He could, but at the same time, if he has an illness, I don't know. Illnesses are different to me than injuries, so I'll just prepare you guys for that injury news if he does sit. And really, with the Thunder, everything gets spread out a lot, okay? Like Josh Giddey does have a decent usage rate, 25%, averages 40 fantasy points per 36 with him off the court. Only had to play 24 minutes last game, but was highly productive in that, scoring 44 DK points. He is kind of like Clay to me, where I do think we are getting a very high floor at a very cheap price tag for especially someone that can go off for 40 DK points. And then it was strange. Everyone on the Thunder went off, but that's really kind of what the data was saying too. Like the production is just spread out, and obviously they're not going to do that again tonight, but we do want pieces of this because Trey Mann definitely is still too cheap, and he had an efficient night shooting, but he is typically the one that steps up the most. He should be the most reliable in terms of DFS purposes because he does average the most minutes. He does have a 24% usage rate with him off the court, and his fantasy point total per 36 is going to be 32. So given this price tag, I think we can accurately project him to get around 25 points. And I was mad yesterday about the Shai news because I was already going to play man, and like, obviously if that comes out later, it's beneficial to me there, and you guys as well if you played him. With that as well, what was shocking was like Isaiah Joe went off, Aaron Wiggins went off as well. This isn't too shocking. Like, I feel like he's a fine value play on tonight's slate if we get news that Shai's going to sit as well. Let's continue on, guys. We do have so much injury news. So Devin Booker currently questionable, listed out. So yeah, if he sits, you can look at CP3. He is someone that's a GPP only play. You play him for the upside, you don't play him for the risky downside, because the downside is 21 DK points, 30 DK points, but the upside's there. He could easily go out for 46, 50. It's just not shocking when that happens. Phoenix has been not playing all too well lately, though. I do want to point out Campaign. If we get news that like the minutes restriction isn't going to be there anymore, he would become a really solid play tonight with Devin Booker off the court. His usage rate with Booker off the court is 31.7, and his fantasy point total per 36 is 44. So yeah, if we get news that those minutes are not going to be restricted, he would be a good play. Staying with that same game, if Darius Garland sits, you can look at Donovan Mitchell, although his price tag is, I feel like it's way too high now. I feel like, how last slate I was saying, Donovan Mitchell, you can't trust in cash, but he does make for a great GPP play. Like, you do need some exposure to him in GPPs. I don't know. Obviously, he can still go off and break the slate. I don't know if that's the approach I want to go with tonight, though, where the price tag is pretty high now. And obviously that was an overtime game, and obviously a game in which he was hot shooting the basketball, had 25 free throw attempts. Okay. Clearly we can see that that's just a random game, and those can happen, but he needs to get to the foul line to really be that productive. It just feels risky. I feel like there's better moves we can make on this slate. And I will say LeVert's still going to be a fine play. Kind of was a letdown in the previous slate at 4.8. Now he's at 5.5, but look at the shot attempts, guys. Those were there. 2 for 13, 1 for 7. if he's getting those shot attempts, I do want to chase that a little bit. So if Garland's still out, I do think we do want some pieces of LeVert because that could easily be 35 DK points or so. Now, could we find that production elsewhere? Probably as well. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the Pelicans situation as well. So the Pels are going to be without Brandon Ingram. They're also going to be without Zion, and they're going to be without Larry Nance still. So there is going to be some projected value here. CJ McCollum, I don't want to say the lock word, but he is a very strong play. Should have a nice high floor as well. Has a usage rate about 30% with those guys off the court. His fantasy point total per 36 is 46. So should be a strong price point play there for you. Jose Alvarado, he is someone that does benefit with him off the court, but they did price him up, so I don't know if we can really play him there. Trey Murphy is a fine price point play, but also kind of priced up as well. I do expect him to get closer to 30 DK points rather than this base that he's been at, especially given the matchup. That should be a higher scoring game regardless, so it is a game that you want to be targeting. Then I also want to talk about the Knicks situation. So they are still going to be without RJ Barrett. That just means that Jalen Brunson and Emmanuel Quickley are great plays, especially given their price tags. Kind of given the matchup as well. I like the matchup with the Spurs. Brunson is someone that has a big usage rate of 29% and averages 40 fantasy points per 36, and we have seen the Knicks commit to giving their players minutes. So I think Brunson, his first game back saw 39 minutes and had 38 DK points. Like, I think that is easily, I don't want to say easily, but I think that should be expected to continue. Then you have Quickley, who, yes, his price point is starting to get up there, but I don't think it's been corrected too much. Yes, with Brunson back, probably doesn't help too much, but those minutes were there. Okay. And he does have a usage rate of 22% and averages 34 fantasy points per 36 with RJ Barrett off the court. So it can be someone you're looking at as well, guard wise. I will say Kyrie Irving still feels too cheap. Okay. Just consistently keeps doing what we need him to do. I don't get why the price point hasn't corrected just yet. Drew Holiday last night, I just want to call this out. This was strange. Wasn't in the starting five. Thus, we saw him not get that many minutes, and thus, like, Bobby Portis went on. So if we get news that Drew's going to sit, just want to prepare you guys. Loading up on Giannis, loading up on Bobby, and Javon Carter would probably be too cheap. So I felt like I spent enough time on the guards. Let's go ahead and get into the forwards. So forwards wise, I love the fact that Giannis's price point is down. And I just, given that stuff with Drew Holiday, I kind of mentioned this yesterday. It's like with Drew back, kind of expecting him to start, that means Giannis, that means Portis, some of these plays that we were on the last two slates, we can't really be on. Well, obviously Drew Holiday didn't play that many minutes. I think it was 18. So that made Giannis and Bobby pretty elite plays still. Okay. So now, given the price tag, the slight drop in his price tag, I think Giannis is firmly in play on this day because we know some value is going to open up. Coming off of a career night, which was crazy, 55 points. I honestly would have thought he would have had more than that, but this season's weird. It almost is like they need to do something to combat how well offenses are playing because they're putting up historic numbers right now, NBA wise, like Murray, obviously Giannis. Like, this is, they need to allow the defenders to defend more is pretty much what's going on, and they will in the playoffs. And that's kind of what bothers me about the NBA sometimes, is that the rules kind of change in the playoffs, but it is fun. I mean, DFS wise, I'm trying to get to 400 points, and we are so far gone from when I first started playing NBA DFS, guys. I know I'm going on a little bit of a rant here, a little bit of a tangent, but when I first started, like 250, 275 were numbers that would cash. And now it's insane. And this is obviously like almost freaking 8 years ago now. It's just crazy where we've come since then. And obviously that's a lot due to NBA rules and making it easier for players to score points DFS wise. But yes, that's my long way of saying, like, if Drew's going to be limited again, and I feel like after last night, we should get that news. We want to play him. LeBron James still firmly in play, guys. Still not getting a price bump. He should be an 11K player, just given how consistent he has been. Sure, he's had a couple of duds mixed in there, and the last game against Miami was a dud, but that was a little bit of blowout, so he didn't get those minutes. Should be a fine play. KD going against Chicago, a little bit more of a GPP risk, but I feel like there is upside given the matchup. He could easily go for 50 DK points. Does it feel like we'd be pressing that a little bit too much? Probably. But at the same time, wouldn't it be shocking to see him go off? Already mentioned Bobby, but yes, if Drew is going to be limited again, Bobby is going to be a good play. If Drew is going to play a full allotment of minutes, that hurts Bobby Portis. It's just kind of as simple as that. So John Collins finally got a big minutes workload, 40 minutes in the last game against Golden State, and we have seen him be more productive minutes-wise. He is someone you could look at on this slate, GPP-wise, not someone I think we need to go out of our way to target, but at the same time, decent GPP play. Dort and also Williams. One of the Williams for the Thunder are fine plays if Shai sits. They're more plays if I end up on, I'm perfectly happy to. They both went off. I would say Jalen Williams, I like a little bit more. And then we're looking at the Pelicans bigs. Herbert Jones is going to be a fine play with Zion off the court. Jones does average around 33 fantasy points per 36. I don't think we're going to get that minutes out of him, but can we get 25 DK points out of him? Sure. And same thing for like Trey Murphy, pretty much the same production. Murphy averages 27 per 36. So it is risky, but those are okay plays. I hate that they're priced up that much, And same thing for Anthony Lamb, who was a really good play for us as a value play on the previous slate against Atlanta. Now, he is someone that does average 29 fantasy points per 36, and he should still get there, guys. The Golden State Warriors are just banged up with their bigs, and so I do think, just looking at the Golden State Warriors, they have one center, so Looney is going to be a popular play, and they're pretty banged up. Like Draymond Green, I think, is firmly in play, because he should be productive. He averages 31 fantasy points per 36 with Curry, with Wiggins, and with Kuminga off the court. If you toss in Wiseman, that goes up a little bit as well. So Draymond Green is someone I want to be looking at. And I think Anthony Lamb, you could still play as well, just because those minutes should be there for him. And maybe we're getting 25 points. I think we can find better value out there. So it's not like a lock and load. If he was under 4K, I would like him much, much more. Now, Evan Mobley is expected back. If he were to sit, Seti would still be a good value price point play. And now I felt like I have spent enough time on the forwards. Let's go ahead and get into the centers. Obviously, guys, this is a big slate. This is going to be a longer video. I apologize. Wish it would be faster, but it is what it is. I can't really control that. So center-wise, Joel Embiid did go off last game against the Pelicans. He is someone that's, isn't priced up too high. I do worry about his ceiling with the Sixers being so healthy, but at the same time, it is Joel Embiid. It's not shocking to see him go off. Sabonis has been highly consistent, gets a pretty good matchup against Atlanta. Wouldn't be shocking to see him have a good game tonight. From there, we go down to kind of this section with Vooch. Vooch is a strong shoulder shrug play. I feel like this game should be a good basketball game, so it should stay close. That's kind of what I'm expecting. And he has just been a strong play really this whole season. Someone that hasn't hurt you is what I should say. DeAndre Ayton is someone that should benefit with Devin Booker off the court. It has been very hit or miss, so he's a GPP only play. What's interesting about Orlando, and I kind of passed on this a little bit, a lot of their bigs are out as well. Okay, so let's just go back to Orlando. Fultz should be a decent play. Okay, it wouldn't be shocking to see Fultz really have 36 or so points. I don't see him really breaking the slate though. Suggs, Anthony could be fine plays as well. The issue is that all their guards are finally back and now their bigs are hurt. So who do we be looking at? Well, really, with Bol out, I think we'd be looking at Wendell Carter a little bit. But just how many more minutes is he going to get? And the price tag is high. This is a great matchup against OKC. If he does get, let's say, 34 minutes, it wouldn't be shocking to see him go for, let's say, near 40 points. And a similar matchup, I guess, would be Charlotte, where he got 32 minutes and had 37. If he goes off, it's not shocking. We saw this stretch here where he did get the minutes and he did have very productive minutes. So I do think he's someone we can play. And let's look at OKC. Got a lot of minutes there and went for 55 DK points. So that is 2 months ago now. But it wouldn't be shocking to see him be productive is what I'm trying to say. I hate the price point. I do think he's someone we want to target because those minutes should be there. They should be solidified. But at the same time, Mo Bamba is someone we could potentially be looking at as well. He's actually the one that has had the most minutes with all those players off the court, with both the Wagner brothers off the court and with Bol off the court. He's the one that sees the biggest increase in minutes. So if we can get him, I know we're not going to get 36 minutes, but his fantasy point total per 36 is 37. If we can get 25 out of him, I do think he could potentially go for 30. Now, I do want to point out the last time against OKC, only 13 minutes, only 9 DK point. But this is very much a minutes predicated play. They might be forced into giving him those minutes though. So Bol did test positive, I think, for COVID yesterday morning, and so most likely going to sit tonight. Thomas Bryant, I feel like we don't need to play him on the slate. If you guys wanted to, you could. Sengun feels like a play that I do want to try to play a little bit up, just GPP wise. This is a very cheap price tag going against the Pels. Valanciunas is a very good play as well. With Zion off the court, with Ingram off the court, J-Val averages 41 fantasy points per 36. So is he going to get 36? Probably not, but is the upside there for him in a game against Houston? For sure. Okay, this is a soft matchup. It should be a higher scoring matchup. He should be able to get a double-double. He is someone that prize picks wise, I did kind of load up on as well, just FYI there. Whether it was rebounds or points, I think he should be productive. As long as this game stays close, he should be a good play. That being said, I don't know if we need to force him in. because we have a lot of great plays. Like I mentioned, Looney, 30 minutes in the last game, 48 DK points. Like he is someone that already averages a point per minute. So if we know that those minutes are going to be there, we know that he's going to be a productive player. I want to play 2 centers, okay, because there is a lot of salary relief there. But at the same time, we are getting a lot of great guard plays as well. So it's tough to really make pivots there because I think we're going to get 40 out of Clay. I feel like we're going to get 40 out of Brunson. I feel like we're going to get 40 out of Giddey. And man is a very cheap price tag right now. I just realized Grant was in there instead of Draymond Green. Apologies for that. So I would rather play Looney over Carter, but at the same time, I want to play Carter. Okay. And that's the issue I'm having on the slate. So I realized I didn't switch to the center slide here. Apologies. Let's get into the core plays because these are my core plays here, guys. They are just elite plays. I would say Giannis is a core play as well. If we can fit Giannis into our builds, I would want to do that, especially with it seeming like Drew Holiday might not play a full allotment of minutes. And that could just been because of his sickness, back end of a back-to-back. But I feel like we do want to be going out of our way to play Giannis. It's a cheap price tag for him. But then from there, like these are the players I'm going out of my way to play because they are the cheapest, but they are players that should be closer to their ceiling, especially given this price tag. They all are players that have a high floor, and I want to be chasing the high floors tonight. Obviously, big 12-game slate. This stuff will change throughout the day, and we need to make adjustments throughout the day. So let's go ahead and try to close out this build. I mean, I guess for now, I don't mind the OKC value that could potentially be there. And if the OKC value isn't there, then I guess I'll just show you guys what I would go with instead. And by that, I mean if Shai's active. Man, I don't love this. So no, not going to go Jalen Williams. I just didn't like that, how it looked. Yeah, let's go Aaron Wiggins value. Then we have a lot. Edwards, I guess. GPP play only. Upside with Cat out. You know, I'm fine with that. Whatever. That's fine. Okay, but let me go ahead and show you guys one without that OKC value because it does make the lineup process, I guess, simpler in the fact that I can play Carter. Obviously, I do want to play Carter. Didn't mention TJ Warren as a decent play as well. The minutes are most likely going to be there if the game stays close. Had 23 minutes in the previous game in a blowout, had 26 DK points. Like, he is someone, if he's going to get 30 minutes, I think is a good play as well. I'm not going to lie, I'm struggling here because all these plays here, like, not trying to get the OKC value as Shai plays. They're all about the same because you got the Pelicans there, okay plays. Harrison Barnes can be productive, especially at this price tag. You got Lamb there, you got Warren there, McDaniels, who's all right, Patrick Williams, who's all right. It's just like, it's a weird one. So I'm going to end with that. Let's go ahead and play a guard that I like. So CJ McCollum, let's just go ahead and fit him in there. Hopefully he has one of those big upside games. Trey Lyles, this was very interesting. Didn't get any minutes in the last game, really, 9 minutes. Okay. Maybe that was because they had back-to-back. I don't know, but he is someone that I think maybe you could take a risk on in GPPs and still play him. It's obviously worrisome that he didn't play that many minutes. I guess I'll throw in Keegan Murray. Okay play. You know, Med's been productive lately. Not a price tag I love, and obviously like this would be probably the first change I would make in a build if I could, if there's better value or once the better value opens up. And Kenrick Williams, just in general, this is a cheap price tag for him as well. So let's go ahead and put those two in there. And I guess I have a lot left over. I don't have to play Keegan Murray, I guess, in this one. Maybe instead go Herbert Jones or something. That's fine. Okay, so did struggle to close out the build a little bit. They're not preferred, but this is a big 10-game slate. It is one in which obviously we're going to get some more slate impact and injury news, some inactives and whatnot, and we just got to be ready to adjust. So just be around before lineup locked and just make those pivots because that will be very beneficial for you guys. Obviously, it's NBA DFS, but we do know enough to make some really great lineups, and then we know enough to where we want to make our pivots. Is pretty much the point of the lineup process video tonight. All right, thanks for watching. Let's have a good slate, and as always, let's keep cashing.